There are speculations around the real mission behind Boris Johnson's visit to Ukraine. The political left are rattled by this visit, and Sweden and Finland are about to become the latest NATO members. Welcome to Disrupt. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we're not allowed to say ladies and gentlemen anymore. I always forget, guys. I always forget. Welcome to another episode of the Ukraine Brief, where we disrupt the mainstream media's narrative. Whatever you're hearing about the latest big news of the day, we try to fix the spin of the mainstream media. And today we also added a new segment at the end of the show. Going forward, we're going to be reading the top comments, the most popular comments under the video from the previous show. So I'm going to give you the response that we had from the previous show. So first, let's talk about what happened in Ukraine. Boris met Zelensky. They did this PR stunt. They did a walkabout. And there was a lot of reaction around it. First, let's show you exactly what they did.
I'm very, very, very glad to see you. How are you doing? You're looking good. Oh, it's an absolute pleasure to see you. Fantastic to see you. How are you? You're looking well.
Yes.
Unbelievable considering what you've been through. You are.
Very
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very, very much for having us.
Заходьте.
You see a meal or...
You like you want.
Right, so that happened. And of course, when it comes to any conflict, you're going to have the allies of the countries to do their own PR stunts. And of course, we now live in the age of access to information is now completely magnified with social media. So Zelensky himself has been the king of PR with all the selfie videos and everything else and all the pictures. And this move by Boris was very well done. Whether you like it or not, in terms of security measures, you know, a lot of people said brave, so that's good. So he stands out. But I'm going to talk about the public mission that was already announced, why he was there, apart from taking pictures to show solidarity, but also what he actually is providing. But there's speculations around the other hidden secret mission I've been speaking to a couple of sources I have in Whitehall. Again, these are just comments that people are discussing, and it's quite interesting to kind of see where we are, because initially the political left had a bit of a meltdown because what they said earlier that day backfired. Alistair Campbell, for example, the same day when von der Leyen was also going to be meeting Zelensky, didn't realize that Boris was actually there. She said, Johnson briefed that he was desperate to go. She just went. Yeah. Alistair, I don't know if I think he deleted that tweet. Hopefully I deleted that tweet because it's kind of embarrassing. We've had articles in The Guardian, for example, saying as the Europe pushes for peace, clueless Johnson snipes from the sidelines. This is Simon Tisdall. The article is about Macron meeting with Putin. Imagine, because Macron meeting with Putin is to do peace, right? Imagine, because he was the first leader to do that, if Boris Johnson was the first leader to go and sit down in Moscow with Putin. Do you realize the outrage that we were going to get from the mainstream media? The Guardian would have written articles, oh, well, conflict started. Look what the priorities for Boris Johnson. He's going to hang out with his best friend, Putin. This is why it goes to my view and my opinion in terms of what Boris Johnson was actually doing in Ukraine, because we had the public side of it. Even the Ukrainian government decided to tweet back. Firstly, they're making Boris more of a target for Kremlin. Secondly, stirring the pot. That's what Ukraine is doing. We welcome Boris Johnson. Well done, great. He's the first G7 leader to arrive in Ukraine. Cool. We are strengthening our union of democracies. Be brave like Boris. Be brave like Ukraine. #brave Ukraine. So it doesn't really help people like Alistair Campbell. Now, the problem we have is that we had the public announcement. So Liz Truss and Boris Johnson both announced that the discussions led to tariff-free imports to UK on all goods. We also had an extra $500 in the World Bank lending, and taking the total to almost $1 billion. And also, in terms of the UK export finance, £3.5 billion support, and in addition to that, £400 million in grants. So there was like good discussions around trade, which is really good. Fine, I'm always pro trade, and a bit of more cash and support. So the problem we have is that I'm going to also talk about tomorrow, because we just heard breaking news that Russia there's a default on the foreign debt. So it's going to be a lot of backlash when it comes to their currency as well. We're going to discuss that properly in tomorrow's episode of Disrupt at 6 p.m. But that was the public side of it. The reality when it comes to Boris Johnson being in Ukraine, out of nowhere, he didn't announce because of security measures. None of the NATO allies or EU allies knew about it. It's simply because NATO has been undermined, thanks to the European Union and especially Joe Biden. So if you have noticed recently, from the UK government's perspective, we see less of mentions of certain international institutions. So NATO or even WEF, the whole Build Back Better slogan is now gone. Every time the UK is supporting Ukraine, they say it's the UK government. They don't say it's NATO or a NATO ally. They still, of course, they have public meetings. They still mention that the UK is part of NATO. That's a given. But there's a mood right now in Westminster that Boris wants to stand out, and of course it's for political gain. He wants to be the main guy, and right now we don't really get it from the European Union. The NATO leadership is a bit all over the place, and also nobody cares or listens to Joe Biden. So that's the soft power of Great Britain coming out again, so that when they see Boris Johnson hanging out with Zelensky, they just see Boris Johnson, not NATO's Boris Johnson, or not really the whole European community's Boris Johnson. So it will be interesting in terms of the backlash, not just from the Russian side, but also from the actual allies, because I can imagine some people in Brussels are freaking out. Okay, he's just gone there now. And Macron, with his election, he probably could have done with some sort of publicity, considering the second round of voting is coming up, but is now too busy to leave Paris. So this is what it takes us back to the main update, which is Sweden and Finland are going to be the latest members of NATO. And interestingly enough, not surprisingly, but Kremlin are freaking out. So until now, the excuse that Putin had was we criticized the European Union side, the NATO side, but let's talk about the idiots in Kremlin. So the idiots who are running Kremlin, who said, we only oppose Ukraine joining NATO because they're neighbors and we don't trust you. You don't want your tanks to be by the border. You're like, okay, fine, understand. Not really, but sure. We don't want to provoke you. Sweden and Finland. So next thing they're going to say, if, I don't know, a random island next to Mexico, Jamaica decides to join NATO, Russia is going to freak out as well, right? If Mars decides to join NATO, Russia are going to freak out. I know why they freak out. Of course, NATO was there to oppose the Soviet Union. And now they're still opposing the former KGB leaders who are running Russia. So nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. But both sides have been stupid at this point in terms of strategy. So I think the NATO side are just doubling down, saying, it's too late now, let's just go. Putin seems weak now, so let's just completely provoke him. And the Russian side, I'm not really sure how much they can bluff. Because Putin said, if the NATO allies even give money or resources to Zelensky, I'm going to press the red button. Well, we haven't done it yet. Well, is it a bluff? You can't bluff on a bluff. So Putin keeps bluffing. NATO keep doubling down. Nothing's going to happen. I mean, hopefully nothing's going to happen. But at this point, if something weird was going to happen, it would have been done by now. So the only people who are going to be harmed and damaged are ordinary people on the ground. And not just in Ukraine or basically the neighboring countries as well, because everything is affecting the whole economies of Europe, the cultural change, migration, refugees going around. So it is quite interesting to see when either side are going to somehow claim some sort of fake victory. Because you can't really win, can you? It's a lose-lose situation. Someone has to claim a fake victory, have a meeting with Putin and say, fine, you go back and say, I've got this bit now, guys. Crimea is still part of Russia. So I won. So it really depends. So I want to get your thoughts, because everything right now is about speculations, and everybody has spoken to about, for example, what Boris was actually doing, or what the Foreign Office want to do for the UK to stand out as more independent kind of soft power. It's all obviously from the sources I have in the Whitehall. So let's go to your comments, because this is my favorite part. It's a new segment I've introduced. I'm going to basically read a few of the top comments, the most popular comments from the previous show, which was, we discussed on the Ukraine brief, the Hunter Biden's laptop, which has been found. Hunter Biden, where is Hunter Biden? And the reaction to the European Union's relationship with Vladimir Putin. The EU are still funding Putin, so that's a whole different argument. We did a video earlier. Martin Freeman, not that Martin Freeman, not the lefty. This guy is a good one. Trump told Germany to their faces about their folly of their dependency on Russian gas, and they laughed and sniggered at him. Who's laughing now? Yes. Donald Trump went around, warned his NATO allies and the European Union, places like Germany, saying, you do realize you're way too dependent on Russian gas. Nobody cared. It's like when the Republicans were telling Obama that you do realize you can't keep provoking Kremlin because Putin would actually do something against you. And Obama was laughing, saying, no, Putin is my best friend. He's an ally. Yeah. Chris Redding says, this is again a response to Hunter Biden's laptop, the whole scandal. If this was Trump, he would have been dragged out of the White House in handcuffs long before now. It is funny because it's not just Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden, who's done some dodgy things. It's linked to the whole family. You can't. It's not like Rishi Sunak's wife not paying taxes in the UK. It's him and his dad and the whole family in the name of the family, the Biden family, who've been doing dodgy things, especially in China, and links to Ukraine. And it's fascinating. Chris is absolutely spot on. That if it was the Trump family, even a tiny scandal related to a cousin of one of the sons or whatever, it would have been absolutely chaotic by now. Let's finally go to Toby Andrews. Toby Andrews says, the EU leaders probably know that their views are nonsensical. But that doesn't matter to them, so long as the message gets out there and repeated endlessly by the media till people believe it. And it's true. Nobody in the actual the European media community are pushing against this narrative of what the European Union are actually doing. They're still giving money to Putin every single day on oil and gas contracts because they have no alternative. They have absolutely no plans. They don't even know what they're doing. So this was the new segment of your comments. We're going to come back every day, 6 p.m. weekday, when we have the episodes of Disrupt, the Ukraine brief. We'll go back to the previous day, find your top comments. So feel free to leave a very, very witty and smart comments so you get lots of likes, and then we'll pick the top few, and we will read them out in the next episode. Thank you so much for all the feedback that you guys have been giving us. We are trying to improve this show every single day so that we could actually add more segments, more interviews. So we're going to come back tomorrow with a lot more updates on what's going on exactly with Ukraine and Russia and the narrative of the mainstream media.